Steve, away you go.
Thank you. I'm on the screen. Hey, thanks for coming. I know this is the talk right before lunch, so I'm not going to talk too much in detail. I'm mostly going to just show demos, and we'll go right into lunch that way. So hello, I'm Steve. I'm the founder, CEO of tldraw, which is it's a couple different things. It's a London-based startup. We're up in Finsbury Park. It's also it's tldraw.com. This is kind of, if you're familiar with, I don't know, Miro or tldraw or these other sort of like online collaborative whiteboards, tldraw is one of those. There's a couple of things that are a little different. Number one, it's very good. Number two, it's a normal website. That everything that you're looking at here, the canvas, the contents of the canvas are essentially one big React application. So there's no canvas element on the canvas. This is a div, and that's a div, and that's an SVG inside of a div, and things like that, which will be important later. tldraw is also an SDK, so this is how we make our money. If you're a company building a product that wants to leverage a canvas in one way or another, you probably don't want to build all the canvas in the same way that you probably don't want to build a whole text editor if you need to edit text. And so you can license tlDraw's SDK to do that. Just as a kind of a quick little highlight reel, if you've used Replic's new canvas, this is our canvas. Hey, and Luma AI, really great use of the canvas for generating images and videos, things like that. But there are a lot. If you see a cool canvas product that's coming out in 2026, chances are it's built with us. So part of my job, having a startup that makes an SDK that promises, hey, you can build cool stuff with this SDK, is building cool stuff with the SDK, kind of like demonstrating what it can do. Over the last couple of years, a lot of those experiments have involved AI. And well, let me show you. Okay, so we're on Make Real right now. Actually, we're not on tldraw.com. So I'm gonna skip over all this pitches. But it really is. I mean, just to show you, it really is a normal canvas on the canvas. Like this is a YouTube video that I can still play with, even though it's rich embedded content. In the same way that Notion kind of like is like a document editor, but it's also just normal HTML, CSS, stuff like that. Same thing for tldraw. So back in 2023, well, just to give you the framing for the rest of the talk, it's all going to be demos from here on. Yeah, Reddit. Mostly the demos of these AI products that we've experimented with. November 2023, GPT-4 with Vision just launches. This is the first time like a really good Vision model is available via like a developer API. That API is in preview. You get like 30 requests a day or something like that, and it's ridiculously expensive, but it's the first time that people can start playing around with products for this. So I don't know if you were on Twitter in November 2023, you probably saw this tweet about Make Real. And I say that because like it was the first kind of like using AI to produce code kind of thing to really break containment, like kind of escape from normal, like kind of niche ML community type of tweets and go really broad. The closest thing to this that preceded it was like Karpathy's, like menu, like visualizer type of app, this first kind of vibe coding stuff. And yeah, the basic idea is that you have a canvas where you can make stuff, right? You can draw diagrams and things like that. And you have an AI that can see, let's see if we can get the AI to make the stuff that we're drawing, right? So, well, the models have gotten a lot better since 2023, but the application still works. I'll show you. So normally you're prompting, and maybe you are just using text, and basically it's this, right? I want like an orange kind of device, shows a timer, 0, 0, buttons for start, stop, add time. And models are especially these days, this is much better than it was in 2023, like totally capable of working with that and adding to it and so on. So wonderful, I have my little timer, and I use nothing but text to get there. But with Make Real, you can kind of get a similar result just with the drawing, right? Like if I took this and just copied it as a screenshot and like just pasted this screenshot into a cursor or something, said, hey, can you make this for me? Then yeah, it would be able to do that as well. One of the cool things we've found about this, and again, you have to remember 2023, right? There was no vibe, like vibe coding wasn't a word yet. That came later. There was no Lovable, or this whole idea of AI coding, well, it just hadn't arrived in the same way as it did in 2024. For a lot of people, this was like the first time they'd ever created something technical at all, because there was no code, and they could use their existing skills, which was like drawing rectangles. Something fun we found about, or something fun that we found out about this kind of way of using the canvas, though, is that, you know, if I wanted to change something about just a text to website thing, I could probably say like no, make it blue, you know, or, you know, asking these kind of complex positional things like, hey, switch the position of these buttons and so on. But what is cool about this is that even though this is a kind of a working website that has been created from an image, right? And it's sitting on the canvas, I can kind of do these stuff like this. I can just kind of draw on top of it. And I could say like green, and maybe make the, you know, I don't know, do something like this. And then in the same way that I selected all this and clicked the button to make it turn into a prototype, I can select all this and click the button, and it will send that new screenshot, which includes the website itself, to the model and saying, hey, can you, well, all right, switching the buttons didn't work, but the green did. That you can use this to kind of iterate on the website using annotation. This was such a cool thing to discover, that annotation could be an input to these language models. And in fact, well, I closed the tabs, but if you go to some of the customers that have used the SDK now, like Google and Mixboard or Stitch or Replit and Luma, whatever, Runway, this idea of using annotations as an input and part of the prompt is something that has gone, people have taken really, really far. So let me see how far I can push this with, I don't know what model I'm using, Gemini 3 Flash Preview. Maybe we'll go a little bit harder. Let me switch the model. By the way, this is all bring your own token. We haven't monetized this at all, so you have to trust me not to steal your API token, but I won't, I promise. Let's say we have something like this, right? This is much more complex. For me to prompt this with language would be quite complex, right? Like I want the user's camera feed, I want to have switches for dot matrix or colors, I want to have a control for how big the dot size is. I want to have a little panel at the bottom with like the thumbnails of the previous things, and that's like, you could do it. And you could do it with, you know, supplementing both the language and maybe Figma designs or something else. But tldraw and Make Real, the canvas is a really, really cool place to make that decision and to have that kind of iteration loop and to have that back and forth. And like any good cooking show, I do have the emergency, you know, finished products over here. So we'll see if it actually uses my camera here. Otherwise, we'll need to change the prompt. It's kind of looking like it. It's interesting. It kind of used the same design language as before. As you can imagine, it creates the markup, and then it creates the. Oh, there we go. Hey, that's not bad, right? I mean, that's. Hey, all right, cool. Let me see if it actually works, though. Color works. The dot matrix, that works. Hello. Dot size, you know. And can I capture? I can. Pretty cool, right? Now, this didn't have any well, I guess it had a couple of words in it, but this is just an image as input. I got a thing as output, and in theory, I could kind of continue to mark it up and see if I can create later iterations and stuff like that. So Make Real was like one of the first AI projects that we ever played with, right? And this was like, oh wow, vision models, that's where it's at, right? And we did do other stuff, like we created this whole thing called tldraw Computer, which leveraged the canvas to do things that you could do in a chat, but that like a chat really isn't the right user interface for. One of the things that you can do outside of a 1D chat thing is branching conversations, as well as like multi-step prompts in a way that is like repeatable. It's very hard to do in chat, trivial to do using kind of code or certain workflow editors that now exist, but hard to be creative with, I would say. So the canvas is a great place to do that because you can create these kind of directed graphs. You can create context really dynamically. I'm going to change this to actually use my own drawing. We need the name of a sport. We could Mad Lib this.
Real tennis.
Real tennis? Is that like real ultimate? Yeah, or real tennis. All right, real tennis. But we need something else. What's the last restaurant you went to?
I don't know the name.
What kind of food was it? Malaysian. Well, I don't know about this. All right. Malaysian. I don't know if I can spell that. Malaysian real tennis. Gotta be careful. And I want this to be kind of the logo. Does anyone know what the Malaysian flag looks like? I feel very bad for not knowing. All right. There you go. Let's go. So each one of these things is a little prompt. It has a kind of some structure to it that is repeatable. It kind of generates its own kind of script, and then executes that script based on what its inputs are. And in this case, the inputs are whatever is pointing to the component. So write a newspaper article summarizing a championship game based on these rules, based on the rules for the game, which was based on the text. We also have, well, text and this shitty drawing that I drew, which is leading us to design a 3D model of the logo. And we are still generating the newspaper article, which will be used to generate, this is last time, Leopards roar to victory in inaugural Rimba Cross Tennis Championship. This is awesome. The rules of the game, okay, cool. Actually, this is much more complex and interesting than I thought. Is anyone here Malaysian? Is this a real, do you guys have tennis with different rules? I don't know. It would be interesting if it kind of came up with something that was corresponded to reality. Hey, that looks fun. I would do this. If you wanted to remix this, all you would have to do is kind of change the input, right? And then run those things again. I really want to see the 3D national logo, but I don't think it actually generated correctly. So we're not doing bad for demos. So far, so good. Beginning of 2024, we kind of had to ask ourselves, what do we actually kind of want from this? Hey, yeah, I did get rid of it. What do we really want from the canvas? Like, where do we see this going? We'd done Make Real, we've done Computer, and these kind of like associated things. You know, we're trying to cast our imagination into the future. Where do we think the canvas is going as a place to work with AI? And part of that was just thinking about, like, how do we use this, right? Like, we use this primarily, like, the killer feature of a canvas is collaboration, right? I want to be able to work with other people on something very complex. I want to be able to kind of have 8, 10, 15 people in the same document, and for it to sort of have the affordances to accommodate for all that. And the canvas really does that quite well. You have your cursors flying around and things like that. So why wouldn't we want to do that with an AI as well? Maybe that's the thing. So we started on this really long journey of getting an AI to see the canvas and to understand what's on the canvas and also be able to act on the canvas. So in the same way that I can create shapes and manipulate the canvas contents, I wanted the AI to be able to do the same thing. So let's say I have a cute drawing of a cat. I'll add some ears. But this is as far as I want to go. I want to ask the agent to finish my cat. So I think this was 2025. So we tried to rip off Cursor's sidebar as it was in 2025 exactly. And this really is a full kind of agent loop. It's going to look, it's going to create stuff on the canvas, it's going to kind of do a review, and there you go. I can even reject or accept this. That's wonderful. Perfect, right? I want to, let's make a little table here. But of course, I'm not going to kind of tell the AI that this is a table, because it can see for itself. Make the cat go up on the table. So the stuff that it made, this is not an image, this is like the same stuff that I could make as well, right? So it's kind of, we're speaking the same language on the canvas. Oh God. Each eye individually, all right? We're going. It's not bad. It's not bad. Actually, these types of big moves is probably one of the things that we've improved a lot in newer versions of this. But it's reviewing its work. Hopefully it doesn't say, let's see what it says. Perfect, yeah, 100%. Thank you, Claude. Great. That's all we want, right? But it can be pretty good. Let's see. Add some more screens to my wireframes. It's a much more complex one, but it's also more of like what these image models are used to looking at and thinking about, which is, you know, pictures of computer, software, stuff like that. So I'll let this cook for a second and talk about like kind of where we wanted to go next. This was cool. We had this harness. Not terribly good at moving cats around, but it is pretty good at for example, creating UI on the canvas. Definitely, this is cool. But it was trapped in this sidebar, right? We had like one instance of this agent trapped in the sidebar. So from there, we wanted to bring it onto the canvas in the same way that, like, you know, other users are on the canvas. So that led us to fairies, to these guys. So each one of these is an instance of that harness that lives kind of on the canvas. And while it started with just being like a way of visualizing the agents, you know, number one, like just where are they, which ones exist, which one is which, right? You can kind of configure them and change their hat. Or because we needed two things, like you can change the length of their legs. I don't know if you can see that, whatever. You can toss them around. You can hold them. They don't like that. Yeah, right on. But you can talk to them as well. Make a move as X, and you can visualize the state of the agent as well. So whether it's thinking, or reviewing, or working, cool. Make a move as O. And you can ask them to do things. And again, it's pretty much the same harness as we looked at with the whole cat on the table thing. But they can exist simultaneously. They know about where each other are. This is worse than live coding, by the way. Let me try this. Maybe we can get them to work as a team. So if I grab all three of them and I say, play a full game of tic-tac-toe, then they will operate as a unit, right? One of them will be elected leader, and will draft a plan. Their wings will change colors to indicate that they're on the same team. By the way, this is also collaborative. You could have multiple people kind of sharing the same experience. Coordinator comes up with a to-do list and then delegates those tasks to different fairies, different agents. So first move, and you can kind of read their IRC chat as well. First one is making a move there, wonderful. Second one, oh, this is going to be bad. I'm bailing on this if they do the same thing again. Come on, come on, demo, killing me. The fuck's sake. All right, oh yeah, all right, good times, man. They can also do much more complicated things, taking an entire like PRD and turning it into wireframes. Cleaning up your stuff actually is really cool. One of my favorite parts about this, as I said, this is it's a collaborative, so you can kind of share a link with other people. And by the way, if you want to play with this, it's at fairies.tldraw.com. It's free. You can spend my Claude tokens and whatever. Are they gonna? The cool thing is the reviewer, I believe, is also looking to see whether someone's won or not. They have tools to kind of like bail out on the generation. But this is collaborative. If I had 10 other people working on this document with me or in this experience with me, they would all have 3 fairies each, and my fairies would be able to see their fairies, and there's mine. And while the orchestration is just within a single kind of user's fairies, having 10 people on the same document, and we've done this, having a collaborative experience on the same document together with 30 fairies, 30 agents, and for that just to work, for the UI and the application to have affordances for not only human AI collaboration and human AI collaboration, but like so many at the same time. Did it recognize the win? I bet it's just going to keep going. Come on. Pins and needles. It's a super dramatic moment in AI development here. Will it recognize the win? Oh, it's thinking. All right, everyone wins. Love it. Having that kind of collaboration, it's a joy. I really encourage you to try because it kind of, like all of these demos, should kind of point towards like a possibility that maybe makes more sense in a more narrow version of this experience that is maybe tied to a specific type of user, like a product. But it's very, very possible to do on the canvas with TLDraw, so try it. I'm going to end talking about one of the newest things that we're doing with this same sort of I suppose agent harness, and that is a desktop app. So we want to have like an MCP-like experience where you're able to use any agent to kind of work with the canvas, right? Like I want to be able to say, hey, here's my code. Can you just whip up a quick diagram of like how this thing is working? And then I want to be able to like change the diagram and say, okay, I've changed the way that this works in the diagram. Can you like bring that back to the code? Update the code to match, you know, the changes that I made in the diagram. That's cool. I want that. We have an MCP app for like Cursor and Claude and things where you can kind of do that thing, but it's still somewhat limited because it's kind of trapped inside of an application. Some of my favorite AI applications right now are the ones that essentially are desktop apps that allow you to communicate with the application using like a local MCP server. So maybe paper, pencil within the design space. There's a lot of others. Even just your normal IDE kind of works this way when you think about it. And so we set up a desktop app that does that, right? It has a local MCP server. And we could recreate that same sort of experience that, you know, like from the Fairies app or from the agent kind of sidebar starter kit, which, by the way, if you want to build with that, you can have all the code to do so. But But then we kind of realized that we were looking at like code mode. I don't know if you've kind of tracked this, the idea that, well, actually agents are just kind of better rather than making all these MCP calls if you just give them code and let them execute it and then kind of generate the tool calls from there. But tldraw has like a runtime API. You can say like, editor.select all and it'll select everything on the canvas, that type of thing. So since it was local, we're like, well, let's just give the AI direct access to the editor and let's see what it does with it. And well, the answer is it does incredibly crazy meta programming on top of the canvas. So we started asking questions about, oh, can you make this interactive? Can you make this do stuff? Like, can you make the height of this little circle affect the height of the guy, right? And can you make it, like, can you make these buttons actually work? Kind of back to make real, but all operating within the canvas itself. Now, we don't have primitives for when this is clicked, do this. When, like, we have enough of the like low-level stuff that you can find a way to program it, and that's exactly what Claude has done here. It's essentially like script injecting the application in order to make these things work. But we've given it a doorway to do that. And again, silly example, but like totally unexpected for us. We had the first time we saw this, we were like, hey, grab all the photos on my desktop, put them in tldraw, and give me like a search bar that uses the native embeddings on Mac in order to like filter the list. And it just figured out a way to do it. If you, I don't think this will actually work, but the code that it uses to do it is some of the most insane, using Python to template JavaScript inside of a bash call, like the craziest, weirdest code that I've ever read in my life. But it totally works, and as a way of doing like kind of, like ad hoc, like shoes, I could do this and then say, where am I? Make the shoes work. The only thing is that it's slow, so I'm not gonna wait here. But that's basically the canvas. That's basically tldraw. Some of the demos that we've I'm gonna stop them from walking. The ways that we've used the canvas together with AI. All of our demos are really, really broad and kind of pointless, but we've seen customers and different teams kind of use those same ideas and kind of narrow them, increase the quality, and make it really work for their users. So hopefully I've inspired someone in the room to take a shot at this. If you do want to, you can go to tldraw.dev to use the SDK, learn more about that. Or if you just need a free whiteboard, that is at tldraw.com. And that is my show. I have time for some questions. So thank you.
Wonderful, thank you, Steve. We probably have time for one or two very quick questions because it's nearly lunchtime and I can hear your stomachs from here. So grab Louis. Any hands up? Hungry hands up.
Yeah, lunch is on its way. If you want to catch me later, I'll be around for a couple hours.
Wonderful. Thanks again. It is lunchtime now. Thanks again to Steve. Big round of applause. See you back here after lunch.